Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Planet X News. Ladies and gentlemen, I am here today. It is April, what is the date today? Or excuse me, I'm sorry, May 7th. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. I always screw the date up. But anyhow, anywho, and anyway, I'm here with Jeff P. and Dr. Claudia Albers. And ladies and gentlemen, I wish we could be bringing you a more joyous live stream. But earlier this morning, once again, Dr. Albers was slandered by the Higher Truth channel. This is the third time. And we've kind of noticed something. And each and every time Dr. Albers has published one of her books, this slander material comes from this bozo at the Higher Truth channel. Earlier this morning, he was claiming that once again, Dr. Albers is not who she says that she is, that her name is on the directory at Wits University as Claudia Albers, A-B-E-R-S. Well, folks, in actuality, that's the only truth coming from the Higher Truth channel. Now, in 2017, the university, Wits University, where Dr. Albers was employed as a professor and lecturer of physics, they updated their website. The company that was in control of their website made a typo on Dr. Albers' name. However, the rest of the information listed under her name on the professor's directory was completely correct. So if you're going to call yourself the Higher Truth channel, at least tell people the truth. And I'm going to show you the truth here on Planet X News. So just give me 1 second, and we're going to nip this in the butt real quick. And here I'm sharing my screen. I hope all of you can see this. Give me 1 second. Just tapping into the live chat for a second here, folks.
Take your time.
Okay, I got to turn my volume down. There we go. Okay. Now, this was actually archived, and it kind of worked out into our favor. This is the, if you follow my cursor, upper left-hand corner over here, University of Witwatersrand in Johannesburg, South Africa. And the Mr. Higher Truth channel, basically, he put this university down, all because it wasn't from the United States. This university sucks. But in actuality, this is a prestigious university in Johannesburg, South Africa. As you can see, there was a typo. Oops, I have the wrong one.
I think you have the wrong ones.
I have the wrong one. Let me flip over. There we go. There's Dr. Albers.
Yeah.
Okay. Here is the typo that was made by the company that was taking over their website, updating and creating the new directory. And they accidentally left the letter L out of Dr. Albers' name. But yet, going down, you can see right here in her email, Claudia.Albers@Wits University. Then further down, research interests, and you can see all of the information pertaining to Dr. Albers at the university. Here's her name, Albers, or excuse me, he got me saying that now. Albers C, Lubden F, Rolnick M. These are other people. Who are these people?
Yeah, these are it's just research that I had done. It's just, they want you to put a whole list of whatever papers you've done. So you don't have to put all of them, just a sample, so that people know what research you've done. And it's not actually done by an outside company. It's usually assigned to a staff member in the school. And he goes and collects all the information from all the other staff members, and then he puts it all on the website. And you obviously made a mistake with my surname. But, my email address says Albers and everything else says Albers. So, I mean, you have to really be looking for something wrong, not to realize that it was just a typo.
And even up here, there's her name right there, completely spelled correctly. But here's the better part, folks, real quick, and then we're going to get down to some other things. They noticed the mistake about a month later, and the mistake was corrected. And here is the archived file for that in the directory from the Witwatersrand University of Johannesburg, South Africa. A very, very, very good university, better than some of them here in the United States.
The university has a world standing as a university and as research being done in physics. It's one of the top universities in Africa and actually in the world. So I think he should look that up if he's interested in.
Yeah, I think he actually owes you an apology. Here was the corrected spelling of Dr. Albers' name. Dr. Albers, the professor, the lecturer for more than 17 years. And Mr. Higher Truth channel, let me punch you in the face with this. Okay. Dr. Albers has more education and more academic background than you have in your little penis. So the next time you slander her in the way that you've done, you're going to hear from her attorney. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me just inform you what Mr. Higher Truth channel is concocting. In his video this morning, he was urging people to contact him via email if they have been injured by the sun, because he has a lawyer lined up ready to sue Dr. Albers for their injuries in the sun, meaning sunburn. Okay, now the real reason Mr. Higher Truth channel is so upset is because, as he says in his video, he's sick and tired of people emailing him and talking about Dr. Albers' observations, her theories, her papers, her work, and her books. Now, folks, we just released the Sun Simulator book. And when we released the first book and the second book and the third book and the fourth book, 3 of those times, Mr. Higher Truth channel came out as a shill, and he downgraded and slandered Dr. Albers. Now, late this afternoon, Mr. Steve Olson from WSO, he jumps on the Higher Truth channel bandwagon to be a complete suck up, and now he is on board with the Higher Truth channel. And all of a sudden, he doesn't believe anymore that there ever was a sun simulator, words from his mouth. So me and Jeff have known each other now for almost 2 years, and we've collaborated extensively on our thoughts and our observations on the sun simulator. And ladies and gentlemen, let me inform all of you right now, out of anybody that has investigated the sun simulator and provided you with dead on proof and information is Jeff P. Now, there have been others that have touched on the subject before Jeff, but Jeff really brought this to the forefront with evidence, hardcore evidence. So Mr. Higher Truth channel wants to talk about, bring me the data. Let's talk about data. Well, buddy, we've brought you the data. And you don't know anything about physics. Even with your own admission, you only studied physics in high school. Now, I'm going to turn things over to Dr. Albers, and, she wants to address all of you because, once again, Dr. Albers puts out a book. It's a great book on the sun simulator, and the slander comes out. And we're used to it, and it doesn't bother us. It just adds more credibility to what we're trying to find out. And the same thing goes with WSO. How can you, after 2 or 3 years, go back on everything that you told your subscribers about this sun simulator? And we know that they're there, and we know that there are multiple forms of technology up there deceiving us. And that's what we're trying to find out. So Jeff is here, and Jeff's going to share a lot of information with us on his research about the sun simulator. But first, Dr. Albers, I'm going to turn it over to you. And I think that you need to address this bozo one more time. And then we'll get into some real relevant information. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. It's all yours, Doctor.
Thank you, Scott. Well, maybe I should start with the sun simulator. I mean, I've written a lot of articles about the sun simulator, and I have shown incredible evidence that there has to be a simulator. And Higher Truth Channel likes to talk about the data, the radiance data measured by the source satellite. The problem with that data and why I don't use it is because I have clear evidence that there are objects in the solar system between the sun and the earth that are also emitting light. I have written several articles where I show that the Yoko satellite, the last image, shows one of these objects which is obviously emitting X-rays. Now, if these objects emit X-rays, whatever we measure, and they are between the sun and the earth, whatever radiation we measure relative to X-rays cannot be assumed to just be coming from the sun. So he basically assuming that all the radiation coming from the sun. He further says that all these objects are lens flares. And this indicates that he doesn't know what a lens flare is. Because a lens flare is a secondary image of a real object. And if these objects are lens flares, and by the way, they are in SDO images, they even have stripes. If these are lens flares, then they are secondary images of what objects? Because if they're images of real objects, then the real objects must, of course, exist. So if you are trained in physics, then you should know what a lens flare is. The first article I ever wrote was on lens flares. I think I'm qualified to understand what a lens flare is.
Exactly.
These objects are not lens flares. These are real objects. We have hundreds of photographs, and these are SDO photographs. These are cactus photographs. These are stereo photographs that show that these objects are there. And they were there in 2007. They were there in 2001. There is overwhelming evidence that they are there. These objects are there. So therefore, whatever radiation we measure from the source, that the source satellite measures, cannot just be coming from the sun. Furthermore, the SDO images show that the sun is dying. If you look at the corona, you will see that the sun is losing its corona. But the problem is people say they are trained in physics, but they have not learned one fundamental thing about physics, and that is that it is based on observation and it is based on experimentation. And theory, accepted theory, is not fact. If the observation tells you that the theory is wrong, the theory has to change. But what Higher Truth Channel has shown is that he does not know this fundamental truth. And therefore, all these years of physics were a waste because he cannot make clear deductions based on observation. He will say, no matter what, like any troll does, that these objects are lens flares. They are not there, no matter how many times you show that they are there, that they have to be there, that the evidence is overwhelming. Now, my education in all this started with the fact that the sun goes dark during the SDO eclipse season. And this is why Wits University eventually didn't want me there, because I was questioning something which was basically NASA's desperate attempt to hide the fact that something was going on with the sun. But the fact is that the corona shrinks back as the darkness progresses across the face of the sun. And that cannot be explained by an eclipse, but the sun goes dark. And when you realize that the sun goes dark, an accepted theory tells you that it's impossible, but the sun's going dark, then you have to realize there's something wrong with accepted theory. And if this fundamental thing, it's fundamental in accepted theory, that the sun is powered by thermonuclear reactions and therefore could never possibly go dark. But if it does go dark, and the evidence is that it does, then it's not powered by thermonuclear reactions. No star can possibly be powered by thermonuclear reactions. The theory is wrong. And if that theory is wrong, what else is wrong in our understanding of the universe?
Well,
and what I've discovered is
let me slow you down a little bit. I don't mean to interrupt you, but let me slow you down a little bit, because I want to ask you some important questions. Okay.
Yeah.
Whenever you were teaching at WITS, because I see a lot of people that criticize you make the same mistake. They say, oh, she's just nothing but a theoretical particle physicist. Okay, but that's what you were teaching at WITS. Just answer me yes or no.
Just theoretical particle physics.
I'm sorry, go ahead. What'd you say?
Okay, so my PhD was in theoretical particle physics.
But that's one of your degrees. Now, once again, I want you to not be modest. I want you to sit with your head up high. And I want you to, once again, for all of these people that are listening to you, that buy your books and pay attention to your information, I want you to go through your academic career. And I want to know your diplomas, your certifications, your awards. But before we start all of that, I want you to show everybody your thesis that you wrote, please.
Okay, here's my PhD thesis.
Hold it up, back it up. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's a hardback novel. Electromagnetic mass splitting of the Goldstone pion. Ooh, pion, excuse me. Could you do me a favor, and can you leaf through a few of those pages and show people the mathematics and the work that went into producing this thesis?
Okay, here's some of the equations.
Go through a few pages.
Yeah, okay, I'll try. I had to solve a lot of integrals. It took weeks sometimes to calculate one of these. I had to calculate Feynman diagrams.
Well, let me ask you something.
Using QCD, quantum chromodynamics.
Let me ask you something. That thesis, how many pages is that thesis? Go to the last page. How many pages?
Oh, let's see.
Don't count them. Go to the page number.
It's 72 pages. It's not actually a very long thesis. 72, 73, 74. But it's not double spaced. Nowadays, most theses are double spaced. This is single space.
So go ahead and close the book again. Hold it so everybody can see the side, the thickness of it.
Oh, okay.
The other way too. No, the other side. The papers. There you go. There you go. Right there. Yeah. There you go, folks. There's a nice size thesis.
Yeah.
Produced by a professional physicist with multiple degrees. So, Dr. Albers, how many degrees do you hold in physics in your whole academic career?
Okay, so
I feel like a game show host.
Okay, in South Africa, we do a BSc, and then you do another year, it's a BSc honors.
Well, what is that? What is that for the layman people?
It's a bachelor's degree in science. I majored in physics and mathematics, applied mathematics, and I did then honors in physics. I did some courses in applied mathematics there.
How many master's degrees do you have?
2.
Oh, and you're also,
I have a master's degree in theoretical physics and another one in science education.
And so you're also able to hold the title of doctor.
Oh yes, once you have a PhD, your title is doctor.
Oh, very good. So, would you consider yourself to be a very intelligent woman?
Yes.
Okay. How many years did it take you to accomplish your total academic career in learning? with all
Uh,
your careers or all
well,
of your
I think
degree?
it took me 10 years at university to get the PhD.
Now, what do you think about his comment when he referred you to a CERN physicist, a CERN scientist, because all you do is sit there and smash particles, which is nothing new?
Well, I've actually written quite a bit about CERN. I don't agree with what they are doing. And this is one of the reasons why I never actually went back into doing research in particle physics, because I don't agree with a lot of the theories, including the Big Bang model, and most of particle physics is based on the Big Bang model.
Okay, let me just ask you these short questions and just try to give me short answers, because I want to get through this, because I want these people to understand that you are who you say you are. And believe me, ladies and gentlemen, when Dr. Albers is writing her reports, and you know, there was a time in her career as a professor where you just can't go, you know, kind of, I'll use the word rogue, and start writing and talking about all of these theories that don't go in line with the university. Okay. All of a sudden, you know, they'll start losing fundings in different departments. And we've discussed this numerous times before. And now that Dr. Albers is free of the university, free from the constraints of the university, she can now explore a lot of things that she wanted to when she was a professor. A lot of teachers, a lot of doctors in academics are in the same boat. She talks a lot about James McCanney. It happened to him. It has happened to hundreds, if not thousands, of other people in high-level academics. When they start talking about things outside of the box that doesn't go with the mainstream bullshit, they're ostracized. So we're not going to just stand here and allow Mr. Higher Truth Channel to, you know, simply degrade her and put her down and then make idle threats. Now, Dr. Albers, I want you to respond to one of the threats that he made, that you're a criminal and that you should be arrested and held accountable for people's injuries that were sustained from the sun.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. I mean,
it came from his mouth.
Yeah, I mean, but how could he possibly say that I'm responsible? I mean, I haven't been telling people to go out into the sun. I have said just the opposite. I mean, I've been writing articles about the chemtrails and the fact that the ozone layer was being destroyed by the chemtrails for months now. And from then, I started telling people not to go out into the sun. I think he's a little upset with the fact that I don't talk about cosmic rays that much. But that is because the theory, what the stellar cores have been showing me through, you know, I've been observing through observation, is that what is happening in the solar system is not just about cosmic rays. It's much, much more. What we have is we have an electrical sun. The sun has to be electrical. It's not powered by thermonuclear reactions. That is impossible. So Wally says that the core of brown dwarfs, therefore, the brown dwarf, there's helium coming from the brown. That's all based on thermonuclear reactions that are powering the stars. And the stellar cores have shown me that that's not what's occurring inside stars. So immediately you have to move aside and try to figure out what's actually powering stars.
Well, listen, real quick. I mean, I'm sorry to keep interrupting you, but I want to get these questions out there because I want these people to understand what this man is doing. Okay. Now, how do you feel about his remark and him setting people up and luring people into him via email to join in suing you?
Yeah, well, it sounds like
suing you because they were injured by the sun. How is that your fault? But that is coming from him in his latest video, and those are his words throughout the video, including the end.
You know what it sounds like, Scott? It sounds like these deep state people, what they are doing to Alex Jones. They keep trying to sue him for nothing just because they don't like what he's saying.
Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, this is the third time this has occurred. It has occurred all 3 times during Dr. Albers' publishing of her last 3 books, and it's really nothing new. It was quite upsetting to listen to, and then I saw through the light. After listening to this quack and this bozo bitch and complain, it finally got down to the end of his video where the Truth Channel showed me the truth. And the reason why he's so upset is because he's losing subscribers. His information and his videos are staying the same. There's no new information coming out. And he is trying to sell people a very expensive suntan lotion, I called it, but it's a sunscreen. Now, he goes into detail about it, and he even cries like a little bitch, and he says, I don't even know why nobody's buying my sunblock. They should. It's Albers. It's Albers' fault that nobody's buying it. Ladies and gentlemen, I have told all of you this before. There are other YouTube channels and people who also write books. They have other agendas. I could give a shit less about YouTube views, and I could give a shit less about subscribers, meaning, you know, unless I'm getting duped by YouTube, that's a different story. None of us are in this for the money. I told all of you yesterday during our live stream, the reason why we are writing the books is so people have a tangible product in their hand, something they could sit down or lend to a friend and enlighten them and awaken them. Okay, the shirts, it's a good conversation piece. Like I said, whenever I wear my chemtrail shirts and my Planet X News shirts and the other shirts I've designed, people see them, they ask me questions, I start a conversation, and now they're with me online. So it's worth the $20 to start the conversation if you're on board with us. That's the only other alternative that we have. YouTube is not allowing us to reach the masses. Facebook is not allowing us to reach the masses. Amazon, through their publishing, does not discriminate. They don't care what your book involves. As long as it falls within their guidelines, they will put it out there worldwide. We're not out here begging for money because my kid overdosed on pills or heroin and I need you to buy me a fucking car. We are trying to find out the truth, what is happening to our planet, what is happening in our solar system, and all of our futures, our children's futures, are at stake. It's not our fault that a grown adult makes a mistake and overdoses. I feel bad, but it's not our fault. No, we do not all have the same agendas. No, I am not on board with some of these other people on YouTube. But I can say this much. For the past 2 years of knowing Jeff P., and for the past year of knowing Dr. Claudia Albers, these are 2 people that I know I can trust. And I commend Jeff for the research and the observations that he has come up with this sun simulator, because there is truly a deception in the sky. So let's cut through all of the personal bullshit and let's get down to brass tacks. Every time Dr. Albers is slandered, it's because she is pushing the envelope and she is coming out with very critical information that nobody wants you to listen to or look at. Dr. Albers, you have anything else to add to this? And I'm going to jump on Jeff P. here. I want to hear his voice.
Yeah, well, I just want to say that the evidence that the sun simulator is there is overwhelming. Why are we not seeing these objects that are outside our atmosphere? Well, there are, hints that they are out there. There are certain effects and so on. But these stellar cores are not seen, and the fact that the sun is going dark, we're not seeing it, is because there is a sun simulator, and there are chemtrails and a whole lot of other devices there. And the evidence is overwhelming that they are there, including the fact that you have more UVC radiation reaching the surface than is measured at the top of the atmosphere. And that means that the source is within the atmosphere, and that means the source is sun simulators within the atmosphere. The evidence is overwhelming.
Very, very good. Now I'm going to jump back over here real quick. Jeff P., how you doing, buddy? You just walked into a hot topic, brother.
Yeah, I'm a little excited like she is. I can only stomach so much falsehood out there before I have to just jump in and say something. So here I am.
There you go, buddy. Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, you know how I feel about you, and you know how I feel about your work that you've contributed, and it's been absolutely awesome. It's actually opened up my eyes. It's pointed me, myself, and Dr. Albers into some very important directions that we needed to go. So you should definitely be commended for everything that you've done. And I urge you, like we spoke earlier, I urge you to sit down and write a book and show people the evidence that you have come up with, because the evidence that you have come up with is visual, it's documented, and it's pretty damn awesome, brother. That's all I got to say. But go ahead, buddy. The stage is yours. Whatever you want to talk about. I think you should hit on these colors, the Crayola.
I want Claudia to jump on this one too, because I can't believe we have to discuss the fundamentals of the primary colors. But okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yep, go right ahead, buddy.
Okay, so let me show you what probably one of the single most greatest discovery I made was the lens array. And I discovered this during the time-lapse camera that we could see during the sun is setting behind this. You guys all see the circular disc here. And they actually have two distinct edges. As we can see, if I go back and forth on, you can see the sun reflecting from these lenses, some creating giant projections in the sky. And I believe, and you could also see the smaller overlapping lenses. I believe them to be ultra thin lenses. And that was my theory. I no longer believe these were planets, but that was my initial discovery. This video that I made, you can see the timestamp here was July 7th, 2016. It goes back a ways. And I just saw this in the sky, and I just looked at it. Now I'm just going to jump straight ahead and show you. I hope that you can actually hear this video from a lady from Buffalo, New York, who submitted this video. Listen, tell you can actually hear the lens trying to adjust an autofocus on this thing. Hope you guys have seen this before. Let me turn up the volume here. Now you're going to hear a background of like a leaf blower.
That looks like a mirage.
You hear that buzzing sound?
Yeah.
Now I told her when she had this, when first discovered it, she just waved the camera from left to right, and it had like a distortion. I said, I'll bet you if she holds it just in the right spot, it'll just sit there and vibrate. Now look how the camera pulls back into focus. And look how it's messing with the focus of this lens. And you can see this massive lens. And this is what people are seeing like worldwide. And I believe they're parked in front of some of the constellations. And I actually believe this is part of Project Bluebeam.
Let me ask you something, Jeff. I mean, on a personal level, this batshit crazy fool at the Higher Truth channel, he said that anybody that believes in a sun simulator is a retard. I mean, we've seen 2 years worth of hardcore evidence, and
right.
I don't think I'm a retard.
Who makes a statement like that doesn't even bother looking at the evidence. I
mean, do you think you're a retard?
Nope. And
I mean, I know.
I'm fully on board that there was a simulator. I mean, I had to make sure that I knew there was one.
Are you?
How it could be even possible?
Do you sell suntan lotion?
Nope. I have no commercials either. So I have no reason to make myself look like an idiot for nothing. Right? I have no commercials. I got nothing to do. I just wanted to show you like some of this photographic evidence and movies of this. Look at this lens here. Look how it's bending the light from the sun.
Yeah, there's definitely a lens there. The sun simulator will not work without a lens system, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and look at this one, the lunar wave.
Yeah, this was pretty. Yeah, this lunar wave stuff is.
Look how the wave moves at the orbital speed of the moon itself. You can see two distinct waves. You could see here and a second wave here. This was an amazing phenomenon. I think it was Crow 777. He thought the moon was a projection. Look how it just carried. This is exactly what it would look like if we zoomed in on the moon as it was passing and through the edge of one of the lenses. That's exactly what I think this is. And then let me see. I had some other good ones. We could jump to the sun simulator stuff if you want.
Yeah, I mean, well, you were going to touch base on the Crayola comment on the Crayola colors.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna just go into Google and just look at the primary colors. Because
Steve also said something about the green, which is I also thought was ridiculous because most of the sun simulators actually add pink to the sky because obviously the objects they're trying to hide emit pink light, but they don't add green light. That's for sure.
Okay, so here's what the primary colors everybody's seen, like, you know, in kindergarten, the primary color wheel right here. Okay,
I'm gonna have to mute my microphone because I can't help it.
Okay, so you get yellow, blue, and red. Yellow and blue. You can see that the way these are equally divided colors. When you mix yellow and blue, you get green. When you mix red and blue, you get purple. And when you get yellow and red, you get orange. That's your primary colors. And green is actually not one of them. This green is what was shown in the LCD TV realm. You can see like RGB TVs, red, green, blue, because they're not capable of reproducing yellow light. And so they use green, which is the nearest color in the color spectrum. You got anything to say about that, Claudia Alberts? About
yeah,
primary colors?
I believe the primary colors of light, because we have to differentiate between primary colors of light and primary colors of paint. And when we're talking about light sources, we're talking about the primary colors of light, which are usually described as red, green, and blue. And then you get the yellow from combining the red and the green, and you get the pink if you combine the red and the blue. So, you know, that's okay. The thing is, all this was because there's supposed to be helium out there, and helium absorbs green light. But there is no evidence that we have a deficit of green light. If anything, the sun simulators are adding pink light in order to hide the objects that are obviously emitting pink light. And if we didn't have green light, then everything on Earth would look pink, and the sun simulators are not adding green. So we have to assume that the sun is still emitting as much green as it once was.
Let me ask Jeff. Jeff, let me ask you an important question, buddy.
Okay.
This is gonna be a tough one. What about the pastel colors? What about the pastel colors?
You should still get pastel colors. Anybody who does artwork, I was actually took art, and I've mixed colors, and you're still going to get the different colors.
Yeah, green is not missing. Not missing. If it was, green grass would not look green; it would look black.
Let's go back to those prism colors. We see the prisms. You know, every color has an opposite color. And, you know, anybody who does like silk screening, you use the opposite, like magenta, to get the opposite color out. Or if you want to filter out those colors. Correct?
Yeah,
absolutely.
They need to be.
ladies and gentlemen, I'm just, I'm just kind of making a little fun when I mentioned the pastel colors because, earlier today during WSO's video, Jeff tried to correct a little bit about what, Steve was saying about these colors. And, Jeff was trying to correct him on this in a comment. And, Steve said to him, oh, what did he say about the pastel? Oh, don't forget the pastel colors. Yeah, don't forget the pastel colors. Well, there's no such thing as a pastel color in reference to what we're talking about. We're talking about primary colors. Pastels are pastels are not primary colors only when you're in kindergarten.
All I had to do is, take blue and yellow pastel, then mix them together and prove that to me and with a live test.
Obviously, some of us failed.
You're not going to get green. That's all I was arguing with, and showing a primary color chart was not primary colors.
Let me ask you something.
The overwhelming evidence of this thing.
Yeah, let me ask you something, Jeff. Going back to the very beginning, because there's a lot of new subscribers, a lot of new followers out there, and we're trying to give them the best information. But give us a quick synopsis of how you started with your theories of something up there other than the sun or a sun simulator.
Part of it started with this black dot, and the other part started with the halos. And I ran into watching International Space Station where I was completely convinced, and the more I studied it, the more it looked to be true, that the space station, I dubbed it the International Sun Simulator, but I'm just kidding, right?
Yeah, it's a good name.
The space station actually helps work on them, but we had let's see if I can pull up pictures of this video. Most people have watched video of the sunset on a space station from space. But how do you explain a sun that turns off and on in a single moment, like before the sun even sets?
This is very, very critical. Wayne Steiger, we were on a live stream with Wayne the other day, and Wayne has video footage kind of similar to yours. Yours is a little bit more defined as that arm comes out. And again, this is, ladies and gentlemen, this is literally groundbreaking information, groundbreaking proof of simulated light coming from space as a device, not what God put in our solar system to light and warm our Earth.
Right, just light. It doesn't produce the heat, although I believe it could create a focused heat. Look at the rotation of, look, where's the light coming from the left side? Look how perfectly round this object. I'm telling you, we've watched the sun set and it comes up with this weird halo on it.
Yeah,
that to me is proof of the lens. This round, I believe, is the lens. See this darkness here? That's why we get the exact dark sun halos. We saw the demonstration I made. We've got the ceiling fan represents the sun 93 million miles away with a flashlight, lower object, and a heliosynchronous orbit. It's always in the path of the sun. And then we've got this lens, and we've got chemtrail clouds. High chemtrail clouds, we get a small sun. And low chemtrails, we get a large sun. Isn't that impossible, Claudia, that we'd get a sun with varying diameters?
Yeah, of course. It means there is something.
It's showing that light is approaching at a severe angle.
Or a lens.
Look at this. Here we got the halo, right?
Mm-hmm.
You notice the varying diameter of notice the outer light does not change in its diameter. But look how this thing will shrink down to almost nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Right there.
Yeah. I've seen this many times. You absolutely correct.
With the thin chemtrail cloud. If there was not a light.
I took a photograph with my 35 millimeter camera and not my cell phone. And I took the photograph yesterday. And with what you just showed, the little pinhole, I got the same. I got the same exact picture from yesterday. Real quick, I wanted to just do something here real quick. Okay. One of my moderators, either Tanis or Dawn, can you do me a favor and get the link for Jeff P's YouTube channel and put it in the live chat so everybody has an opportunity to, click on that, subscribe to Jeff's channel, make sure you have the notifications set up, and you yourself could start to learn more about this deception in the sky. I think it's very important. That's why Jeff's here, and that's what we're all trying to do. We're trying to give you the best information about what we're finding out. And it's not like we started doing this yesterday. I've been at this for many, many years. Jeff's been at this now for, 2 years now, Jeff, if not more. And with Dr. Albers' credentials and her background, she's like that golden egg, and she's trying to bring it all together. And with what Jeff is showing you right now on your screen, this adds credence to what we've been talking about. We already know that there are probably multiple objects within our solar system that are affecting our sun, which will in turn affect our Earth. Now it is time to crack the code, crack the deception, get through the chemtrails, get to the sun simulator, and bust this thing wide open.
There's the spinning dot.
Everybody needs to know.
Mm-hmm.
This here, I believe to be the spinning cube.
Yes.
There's actually someone in New York on the East Coast where this tunnel of light actually beamed on her back garage. In those earlier pictures, you saw like this mirror object.
Amazing.
Now, this is from the Zion Warrior channel from Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he doesn't always get this spinning dot. It depends whether it was completely focused down that tunnel of light. And we could pull up that spinning mirror that you got to looking right down the barrel of this thing, because this mirror is what reflects back into the sun simulator mirror and bounces back the light.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to be right down the barrel of this to get this,
Yes.
to see this dot. And we can see this. I had a compilation of these videos as well. We even had it on the infrared flare camera.
Wow.
Oh my God! Look at that, man.
Yeah, I've seen
that.
Yeah, this is good. I actually saw it when you first showed these videos, the video showing this. This is very good.
Yeah, Jeff, you need to
obviously a device.
So
yeah,
how
Jeff,
does helium play a role in that one?
listen.
Exactly. The thing is, I'm not saying there's no helium cone. I'm not saying that helium is not coming from outside the solar system. The thing is, it's not what's important. What's important is that we have objects in the sun's corona, and we have objects that obviously are affecting the Earth. They are trying to hide these objects, and our solar system has been invaded by these objects. Our sun is dying. It's obvious. The STO images tell the story of what's happening to the sun and why they need to even simulate the sun. It's not just to hide the objects, to hide the fact that the sun is dying. Why do they even need the chemtrails? It's to hide the objects and to keep heat inside the atmosphere, because the cloud cover reflects heat back towards the surface of the Earth, so that we don't notice when the sun goes dark and suddenly the chill sets in the atmosphere.
Very good. Me and Jeff were just talking about that. Jeff, you want to elaborate on that with them damn sun halos?
This
and that drop in temperature?
Oh yeah. I've actually experienced it. If it just takes the time, next time you get a dark sun halo, is just go outside. You will see a slight drop in the light. In fact, I've got a video of it, a time-lapse camera. I was going to post a video on it, but I'll show you guys. So I got it dubbed the solar eclipse over Mexico. Watch. Let's see if we had maybe this was one. This is going to blow you away. This is over in Mexico. Now, I'm going to scroll forward for the sake of time. Here is our hot object planet right here. Watch what happens when the sun goes in behind this object. Now, I want to watch here. So here it comes. There's your spinning dot. You're going to get, notice you have the white sun from the sun system. You see the actual sun behind it, the yellow trace behind it. Watch what happens when it lights up this planet. And then I also want you to show, look at the light. See the
Mhm.
contrast of light between the shadows here?
Mm-hmm.
Watch this. When it eclipses over, look how bright that get.
Whoa, wow, look at that, man. That's good.
Okay, so people need to just shut up with their helium and all their lame. Oh, geez. It just makes me sick and people just can't recognize that this is the value of light. This is what we expect. Look how dim this is. There's no clouds. There's no chemtrails. The sun is in direct light of this.
You know, I was just mentioning this yesterday in
you
our
can see the
live.
black dot on this window right there.
Yeah, you know, this, you have no idea what this means. Did you see the sun seemed to go in front of this object, right? Now,
Right.
why does the sun move in the sky? It moves, the sun is not moving, the earth is rotating. So what we actually saw, it looked like the sun was passing in front of the object. Now, that's not possible. Obviously, the real sun is behind the sun simulator. We can assume that. So the sun and the sun simulator would be moving across the sky like this because the earth is rotating. Does it actually look like this object, the sun is illuminating the object? But then the object should be in orbit around the sun, and we should see it move with the sun. We didn't see that. We saw the sun move in front of it. What does that show us? This object is not in orbit around the sun. It's in orbit around the earth.
Yes. And maybe you could explain.
The sun simulator is moving in front of the sun. This object is not attached to the sun because then it would stay. The sun would move and it would stay like this. This object is attached to the earth.
That's right.
That's what it means, Jeff. This is absolutely amazing.
Pretty epic, huh?
And this is why they're so scared of us talking about this, because they realize they don't mind anymore that we know they are in the sun's corona, but they don't want us to realize how many of these objects the earth may have captured.
Yeah.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, you know, like I said before, we already know that we have a pretty serious issue within our inner solar system where our planet survives. You know, the question is now, why the deception? You know, it probably most definitely has everything to do with control. I mentioned yesterday, and I've been mentioning, that your rights, no matter what country you live in, are dwindling away. Each and every day, they are poking at them. They are taking them away. And we're starting to see it more and more and more. And the powers that be, they just don't care. Now, I mentioned agendas. You know, other YouTube channels have agendas. We have an agenda. Our agenda is simply to crack this thing open and get through the deception. The deception's been going on for a very long time, 30, 40, possibly 50 years, possibly even more than that, but we just don't accurately know. You know, I really don't like to get on here and, you know, criticize and bash people, but you know, I'm the type of guy that I won't bother anybody until you bother me or you bother Dr. Albers and slander her with these type of ridiculous comments. And then, you know, you'll see another side of me that, yeah, it's not too nice and I don't care. But I'm not worried about other YouTube channels. I'm worried about each and every one of us. I'm worried about myself. I'm worried about my family, my kids, and their future and what it's going to be like. Now, just think, if there were not people like me and Dr. Albers and Jeff P., and I'll even throw in, you know, Steve Olson and the guy over at the Higher Truth channel, Mr. MBB and BP Earthwatch, even Rex Bear over at the Leak Project, and Richie from Boston, and many, many other truthers that chose to dig and dig and present you with the information that we're finding. No, we're not conspiracists. We're people that are just simply pretty smart, analytical, and, you know, it's like we're trying to find the magician's trick on how he actually performs that trick. And that's what we're doing. That is exactly what we're doing, and we're researching it. And yes, we're ridiculed and we're trolled and we're called names and we're threatened. But the bottom line is Jeff is still here. I'm still here. Dr. Albers is still here through all of it. And we're going to continue. We have to get to the bottom of what is happening in our skies. We see all of the signs. They're there. More and more people are awakening. But as each and every one of you sit there and listen to us, like I said, you now have that responsibility, gaining this knowledge. You got to help us out. You got to help everybody out. So again, that's why we write the books. That's why I made the chemtrail shirts. That's why we do what we do. None of us are becoming millionaires. None of us are becoming famous. Nobody cares about that. But what we do care about, you know, we do care about this truth. Plain and simple.
You guys still see my screen?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You see the black dot on the window?
Yes, it's being reflected. And
you see the black dot even on the sign over here too?
Yeah. Oh my good. Oh, I hadn't seen that. That's amazing. Look at that. You see how it's cubed. That's definitely
the patent, if you read the patent, it says it's 20 foot.
The device has a cube structure.
Yeah.
Nothing else in the universe.
And look at this. This I believe to be from a similar type object. I believe this is a projection of that same spinning cube.
Yeah, I think the simulator, it's like an array. It moves across the surface of the Earth at about 1,000 kilometers per hour, and it just moves across, and it's a whole array of devices. So they use one group, and then 1,000 kilometers away, there's another group of devices, and they just moving across the surface of the Earth. This type of array, I think that's what we have. And you know, it's even mentioned in Revelation 8, how 1/3 of the day and 1/3 of the night will not shine. And that, I think, can only be referring to this kind of system that is damaged. 1/3 of it is damaged. Then as it moves across the surface of the Earth, that part of it will not be functioning. So that means that 1/3 of the day will not work and 1/3 of the night will not work.
Let me touch on something here real quick. And it just popped into my mind because Jeff mentioned patents.
Wow.
And we've all done a tremendous amount of work researching and finding out about these patents. Richie from Boston, you know, busted out a lot of this information on this patent. Jeff's done research on these patents. He just mentioned it. Myself and Dr. Albers have been doing research on these patents. So, ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand something. You know, these are hardcore scientists and engineers that were trying to engineer and formulate this type of device. They actually wrote blueprints on it. They wrote papers on it. They wrote patents on it. It's all documented. It's in the U.S. Patent Office. A lot of the information was never sealed, never classified. And it's not the first time that the United States government has made this blunder. Back in the days of the space shuttle, the idiot United States government never classified the blueprints for the space shuttle. The Russian government and agents went into the patent office and they were able to get blueprints. They were able to go into government offices and get blueprints for the space shuttle and build their own. Then later on, the CIA found out, oh my God, what did we do? We didn't classify those blueprints.
That's amazing. Sorry.
Yeah, we didn't classify those blueprints as, you know, top security, blah, 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 blah. And then they went and they made false and fake blueprints. They allow the Russians to build the space shuttle. and their first flight, those astronauts almost did not make it back. And how they tricked the Russians was not by the total engineering, they let them have that, but re-entry. Remember, the tiles on the bottom of the space shuttle were critical for the heat shield. Well, in the blueprints that they later on leaked to the Russians, they put in the blueprints that these were glued on to the bottom of the space shuttle. They actually had a secret method of keeping these tiles on, the US NASA engineers. When the Russians decided to launch and come back into Earth's, through Earth's atmosphere, they almost didn't make it. The space shuttle, the Russian space shuttle, was almost burnt up, and then it was tucked away and never heard from again. And then the Russians found out what the Americans did by sabotaging stolen blueprints. So my point is, they make mistakes, and the mistakes are already out there. On the government's end, they should have classified the information on the sun simulators and the other devices and the chemtrail devices, the information that we just came about. Aerosol pigmentation disbursement mechanisms, pigmentation, colored chemtrails, ever so slightly. So I hope you're all seeing my point. The government makes mistakes. It's people like all of us that find them and expose them. But what we're dealing with...
They don't just make mistakes. I'm sorry, but they are trying to do much more than that. They're doing things on purpose. They hide.
What I mean by mistakes is it was a legitimate mistake to not classify the space shuttle blueprints. I think it was also a mistake not to classify the sun simulator blueprints and patents, because they never thought that people like us 20, 25 years later would be searching for this information. That's my point.
The first simulator patent I found had a purposeful mistake in it. They had turned the mirrors around and would never have worked.
Oh, that's probably, yeah, just like the space shuttle. I see your point.
You see, so whatever patents are out there, it gives you a hint that these exist. But first of all, it was from the 1960s. It was a very old one. And I knew that it would work, but they had turned the smaller concave mirrors around, so it wouldn't have worked that way. But since I understand how optics works, I just turned them around and made it work. But yeah, you see, this is amazing. I think, GFP, you have plenty of evidence that these lenses are there. And I think you are showing evidence that these objects are there just outside the Earth's atmosphere, and they're trying to hide them with these devices. And I believe what you are showing, some of this evidence also shows that I think the moon is being simulated. And I found plenty of evidence of that.
So yeah, I wanted to talk about this topic here.
Yeah, Jeff, real quick, buddy. I have a suggestion for you, and I think you should definitely take my advice. With all of the data and all of the videos and all of the observations that you have sitting in your computer, I would start putting together videos, renewed videos of your captures. Again, you know, there's a lot of new people coming on board, and one thing that I noticed that they don't do, because I have almost 1,400 videos. New subscribers very rarely go back and watch 1,400 videos. I think with the information that you have acquired, I think that would be a good thing for you to work on, taking from the beginning, taking bits and pieces and putting them together in new videos and recirculating your data for new people. I think it's a great bit of advice. What do you think, Dr. Albers?
Yeah, I think so. Oh, God,
people need to see it, Jeff. They need to see it.
Yep.
No doubt. Hey, listen, whenever you came up with this right here, this blew my mind. What you're showing right now on the screen.
Yeah. Notice this is, I'm on the JPL NASA.gov website. Okay. So this is, what is JPL working with NASA making lenses for? Why would they do that?
Yeah.
Look at this. They have developed. Okay. This is not theoretical. They made it. And what these are, shaping light, these little red things here are nano silicone pillars that they twist. And as they do, they get thicker, and you can see them shaping and bending the light itself. Here they're showing in like a small lens, focusing the light at this point here. Notice get bright here as this light's being bent. I firmly believe that they could be multiple mini lenses, in which case it would be a display. Look at, so these new lenses, not made of glass instead of silicon, are precisely arranged in a honeycomb pattern to create a meta surface that controls the paths and properties of passing light waves. The application can be used for microscopes. Check this out, displays. Project Blue Beam, right? Camera sensors. These flat lenses help to make more compact imaging assemblies. And you could see that each silicon stump or pillar has a elliptical cross section. And by carefully varying the diameter of each pillar and rotating them around their axis, the scientists are able to simultaneously manipulate the phase and polarization of passing light.
Are you making this up, Jeff?
This is NASA, man.
No, this is very good. They very likely, I'm sure they are using these in their devices, because you can see there are multiple lenses in front of the light sources. There will be a lens that is actually part of the device. There's a light source and a lens in front of it, and these thin lenses, obviously. And then there are lenses which they can produce out of the atmosphere itself, because all that takes is changing the refractive index at a surface. And you can do that with...
Oh, you know what? I had an article that talked about using plasma as lenses.
Definitely.
And
you
let's see if I can pull up the article on that one. If you want to take the screen back over, go ahead and see if I can find that article on the plasma lenses using our atmosphere.
Yeah, just click your stop sharing button.
Yeah, you see that they've made the atmosphere conductive, and that means they can manipulate it. They can manipulate a surface. They can make it dense and therefore change the refractive index. They can condense parts of the atmosphere. They can create resonances in the particles and thus change the density of air itself. And that would create lenses within the atmosphere. And they will do that all through electromagnetic waves that then manipulate air itself. It's very interesting. And then there was one more thing I wanted to mention, and that was, I think Higher Truth Channel said that these objects could not possibly be in the sun's corona because of the gravitational interaction. And that shows that he knows nothing about what I have been saying. And it shows that the observation are that these objects are there, and when you are one of the blind people leading the blind people, that is, you believe that theory is fact, then you realize that it's impossible, these objects are not there, so you throw away the observation. But if you actually understand how physics is supposed to work, you understand the observation is what drives physics, you realize they are there. So what has to change? The theory of gravity. Now, Newton said, this is what it looks like. There's a constant in there called the gravitational constant, G. And what it turns out is that constant is not a constant. It depends on the gravitational energy of the object. And that's what the stellar cores, through observing these stellar cores, I have deduced. But this means that G is not constant. So gravity, as long as there was nothing else in the solar system, would be like Newton said it was. G seems to be constant because all the objects have the same gravitational energy in the solar system. But the moment you have these dead stars coming in, they don't have the same gravitational energy. So then they don't interact gravitationally with, well, the gravitational interaction between them and the solar system objects does not have the same strength.
Listen, Dr. Albers and Jeff, you see what I have up on my screen?
Yep.
Okay. Getting back to the Higher Truth channel, stating that these objects are not in the corona of the sun. Jeff, you're a pretty smart, intelligent guy. You're observing photographs right now from the SDO, high resolution. And I mean, what do you see?
I see something in the corona.
Exactly. Spherical object. But
that's the problem with the mathematical nonsense science that we have. You know, when we have the electric universe, everything will make more sense. And so when you believe this thermonuclear reaction, which has nothing to do, well, which is part of the helium lie.
Yeah. That's
okay,
right.
it's pure electric being fed by Birkeling currents, these plasma currents fed from the north and south pole of the sun, and they can go across millions of miles of space. And some of them invisible, and they become apparent in the galaxy. Again, anybody who's either going to be a part of the electric universe, you're not. You're going to wake up, or you're not.
Yeah, the thing
You
is,
can't
what
subscribe to two theories.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Jeff. What I've discovered is that the gravitational interaction and the electrostatic interaction work together to create everything we see in the universe. All mechanisms in the universe can be understood in terms of the electrical and the gravitational interaction. But the gravitational interaction is very different from what we've been told. The gravitational interaction is like the electrical interaction in that there is an attractive and a repulsive part to it. And it's actually the electrical interaction that allows the gravitational interaction to work. One does not work without the other. So not only are we in an electrical universe, gravity itself is part of this electrical interaction. They're constantly playing against each other. And this is what I discovered. This is what the stellar cores have shown me is going on. Plus other people have what other people have discovered, including Halton Arp, and he discovered that redshift is intrinsic, and that led into him discovering that galaxies are going through matter creation events, and that's a part of my theory and explains a lot of what's going on.
Can I interrupt for a second? I got to show you something that's going to blow everybody's minds.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me dump out of this screen.
Okay. Everybody's jaw's going to drop on this one. Okay. You will not be disappointed. Okay. You guys see my screen?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So there is a Russian scientist who discovered that he can take dead beetle wings, water beetle wings, and just levitate them. Let's watch. How is this even possible? And the theory behind this is that the natural frequencies of the Earth are vibrating through the hollow chambers of the dielectric beetle, and they actually levitate. And when the beetle flaps its wings, it generates a sound. And they go on the underside of these wings. Let me scroll this forward. Watch this. It just hovers there. It's very bizarre. Look how it reacts with the tweezers.
Oh my goodness.
And so this scientist, wait till you get a nice levitation here. You'll see. You're going to get, look how it's like reacting like it's magnetic. But I believe what's actually happening, that these beetle wings are actually channeling the natural Earth vibration, and they're being amplified. Look at that. Are you guys seeing this levitate?
Wow.
Okay. Now, based upon that, this guy takes a group of these wings and creates a levitating device. Are you ready?
Wow.
This guy right here, Victor. You guys want to look up anti-gravity? This guy, he creates a series. He finds out the most wings that have the greatest lift, and he realizes, let's see if I can fast forward here. So in this levitation device, here's these wings. You can see them reacting with these beetle wings. Look at that thing just spin naturally.
Wow, man, that's a lot of energy.
This is like super bizarre, right? Now, and ancient even knew about it. So what he does, he takes this platform here, right here. He takes a bunch of these beetle wings. I'll show you the construction of it underneath these things, and they open up like, you know, those Chinese fans that kind of fan out.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, they're inside. They got them face down underneath these things, under the four corners of this thing. And these little clutch things, what will do, like a quadcopter, that in down mode, those blades are closed. And then when you open up, the blades open up, exposing the beetle wings. And it levitates.
Did they kill this guy?
What's that?
Did they kill this guy?
Yeah, probably.
Did he disappear?
And show the construction of this thing. This guy talks about it here. He's got this huge seminar, and I'll talk about suppressed technology. That bees, they're flapping their wings. They're only generating sound. And it gets into like how there's another YouTuber that talks about, let's show you how he does it. Here's how he makes this thing. You see? Okay, so here he is making this thing. I want to show you underneath. This is what I'm talking about. See these fan things? They put the beetle wings under there, and they open and close, and that's how they can get the thrust.
That's generating the lift.
Yeah, you get more or less lift. And you're not going to believe the numbers here. He said it would levitate because it envelops its own space. 1,000 feet traveling, I think he said it was like near the speed of sound. And when he moved, he said it didn't even feel wind because it was like windless. It was basically a type of anti-gravity. And here's what he's showing. It enveloped through its own magnetic field.
Well, they actually talk about that when they refer to how UFOs move underwater. They actually move the water away from their craft.
Yeah, it's the similar concept.
Exactly.
And I wish there was a point that they showed what the beetle wings look like underneath, how they generate sound.
Like a honeycomb.
And yeah, this honeycomb structure we see all around the Earth, and the rocks in these rocks that ring with sound actually generate I think they're human resonances being amplified. And these are the ancient technology, how they powered the Earth.
I'm glad that you showed something like this because, ladies and gentlemen, one of the biggest issues with people saying that, oh, that's impossible for, that type of device to be up there in the upper atmosphere or, on the edges of space. So that's absolutely impossible. That's impossible. Well, Jeff just showed you, and you all just witnessed a scientist who demonstrated, it almost looked like magnetic levitation using, were those
sound.
Dead beetles?
Dead beetle wings, the water beetle.
So, if this man did this experiment and this research, you can guarantee the Russian government has it, the U.S. government has it, the Chinese have it, and they've probably magnified this concept. And again, like I've said before, these space agencies are 50 to 100 years more advanced, if not more than that, than we know. So having a closed mind by saying, oh, there can't be no other rogue objects in our solar system, and no, there can't be a sun simulator up there. Well, listen, they have a space station that's supposedly up there. We just saw Jeff show us it producing what seems to be sunlight. It is what it is. The technology's there. They've been working on it. The question is why? Now, Dr. Albers and I have been on this for quite some time, and one thing I want to touch on, and well, actually, Dr. Albers, I want you to touch on it, is about this radiation, these radiation levels, the increase in radiation. And just today, folks, if you turned on the Weather Channel first thing in the morning, all day today was the coverage of what's happening in Hawaii with Kilauea and the volcano. But all day today, they talked about skin cancer. They referred to it as Melanoma Monday. And they're still talking about it as I have my TV on in my office. They've been talking about skin cancer and warning people all day. I just warned all of you at the end of our live stream yesterday This upcoming summer in the northern hemisphere, do your damnedest to stay out of the sun. Even though, you know, it's recreation summer, skin cancer levels, as they're claiming, are on the rise. I don't even consider it to be a claim. It's the truth. And with the influx of additional radiation, the human body can't handle it. The human body does not react well with radiation. But Dr. Albers, you want to touch on this this radiation and the Earth right now?
In 2002, there was no UVC radiation. A measurement was done and it wasn't detected at the surface. Now suddenly in 2017, 2018 is off the charts. It's greater than what's supposed to reach at the top of the atmosphere. So if we have more on the ground than we have at the top of the atmosphere, and we have the ozone layer in between that's supposed to filter it, that means that we are getting more radiation at the surface, UVC radiation, which is very harmful, and it will lead to skin cancer. That means that it's like we don't have an ozone layer anymore. That's what it's like. It's actually worse. So the sun simulators are obviously emitting UVC radiation. The fact that they're saying that the chemtrails are supposed to decrease the amount of radiation, that's an absolute lie. The only thing the chemtrails do is you can see it by the haze in the atmosphere. They reflect visible light. They do absolutely nothing for X-rays or ultraviolet light.
Yeah, they're not bouncing radiation back with chemtrails. That's just, I'm not buying that bullshit. No way, no way, no way. One thing I wanted to add when you mentioned the ozone real quick, with a depleted ozone, and now, you know, a lot of scientists are coming on board and talking about the depletion of our magnetosphere, that those two right there would definitely cause an increase in radiation, compounded by what is in our inner solar system, what is interacting with our sun. So, Dr. Albers, I know you definitely know this. A brown dwarf or one of these stellar cores probably rotates very rapidly. During that fast rotation, their radiation output based on their size would be intense, would it not?
Oh, okay. So what we have is, we know these objects emit X-rays. If they emit X-rays, they emit other things. What we also know is, because we are living in an electrical universe, as Jeff said, these objects are interacting electrically with the sun. The sun itself is an electrical object. And the way it produces light is through discharges, electrical discharges, so lightning. And whenever you have lightning, you have intense radiation being released, including gamma rays. It even happens on Earth. There's plenty of evidence of that. There's research that's been done on that shows that whenever you have lightning, you have the release of radiation. The sun, because it produces light in all these wavelengths. So the stellar cores, when they interact electrically. And it's not just with the stellar cores. If you have a comet going by and going close to a planet, it will interact electrically with that planet. You will get enormous discharges. And when you have these discharges, you have intense radiation being given off. So whatever happens, because there are electrical interactions going on, we are going to get a lot of radiation coming off these objects, and due to the interactions that are occurring between them and the planets and the sun. Lots of radiation is going on. It's coming from them.
Yeah, there's no doubt. The increases, we've been seeing it. I started noticing it back in 2016. It prompted me to start looking into it a lot further. And, you know, charting it through 2016 into 2017 and now into 2018, a lot of people are talking about it. There are scientists that are raising all kinds of hell about what's happening in the Antarctic and the Arctic, the North and South Pole, mainly the North Pole. I talked about it extensively over the past few months. This very mysterious output of ice melt, and the new ice coverage is very, very thin, which means it melts fast. Increased radiation, increased heat levels on our North Pole is damn tragedy.
Yeah, Scott, then if you want to talk about the North Pole, we should talk about the fact that we've discovered, or I discovered, patents that indicate, this is from 1977, they definitely wanted to manipulate the ionosphere and the magnetosphere. And they were doing so by injecting cold plasma, which is low energy like hydrogen gas, which is ionized, or barium clouds into the magnetosphere and the ionosphere through satellites. And these were affecting the magnetosphere and the ionosphere. And the effect was always largest at the poles, because the magnetic field lines take these particles in close to the atmosphere at the poles. They spiral along the magnetic field line. The magnetic field is much more intense at the poles. So what you would get is increased radiation and therefore increased heat in the atmosphere over the poles. This is exactly what we are observing. This is therefore likely to be because of their manipulation, not just because we have objects out there. Obviously, the objects are affecting us, but they have been manipulating the ionosphere and causing a lot of these effects themselves through their crazy experiments, including exploding nuclear weapons in orbit, which is crazy because obviously the radiation is going to come down to the surface eventually.
Yeah, I mean, still to this day, ladies and gentlemen, there is a massive, I hope nothing happens to me talking about this, but there's a massive hydrogen bomb that is under the ice in the Arctic near the northern coast of Greenland. And back in the Cold War era, an Air Force transport plane transporting 3 hydrogen bombs crashed, and the pilots ejected. There was a massive fire when the plane crashed. 2 of the 3 hydrogen bombs were recovered. It was pretty much a hidden endeavor by the United States government, but they never got back the 3rd hydrogen bomb, which would make the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombs look like firecrackers. So we know that they've played around in different areas on this planet with these massive explosive weapons. There's also been rumors they detonated, nuclear weapons on the moon. They cleaned everything up. Greenland is like a it's part of the Netherlands. It's governed by its own laws, but I believe the Netherlands diplomatically and politically are involved in Greenland. There were some tensions between the Netherlands and the United States government because the United States government covered up the fact that there still, to this day, is an unrecovered, I think, a 1,000 megaton hydrogen bomb buried up there. And
yeah, I mean,
with all of the increased activity in earthquakes that's happening, the decrease in the ice in the North Pole, God, that is like a ticking time bomb. Anything can happen. Earthquake, landslide underwater, melted ice. It could expose that bomb, and if it goes off, that is 1,000. I think it's 1,000 kilotons.
Yeah, but the thing is, Scott, I actually believe that's what they want. They want to explode bombs. They want to find an excuse to explode bombs. Now, the kind of weapons they have that I figured out from the patents and what they can do in the atmosphere means they have amazing plasma and laser weapons from orbital satellites, from orbital platforms. They have, if they want to wage war between nations, they have no need of nuclear weapons whatsoever. The thing is, they want to use the nuclear weapons because they want to destroy the civilian populations of this planet. They are doing it because that's what they want. They want to destroy this planet. That is one of their aims.
Yeah, I mean, they could do it biologically. I mean, they know that you know, having an all out civil war would be a pretty tough endeavor. You know, there's a lot of people that are awake around this world. They've protected themselves with firepower. And like one guy stated, I'm not worried about them taking my guns away because I have something that I could make for $150 that's more powerful than a gun, and that was a laser. And, you know, and listening to his statement, he is absolutely true. If he's able to make a weaponized laser for $150 versus spending, you know, $700, $800, $900 to $1,000 to manufacture an AR-15 with one of those Ghost Gunner little CNC machines, I'd have to pick the laser. The laser goes further, it's faster, and it burns like hell. So for $150, I don't think the governments of this world want to wage war with the people, but biologically they could do a lot of damage. There's no doubt about that, folks. You know, that's a whole nother topic right there. But I'm going to cut our live stream up here and grab a bite to eat. I was very, very happy to have Jeff P. on here with us and also Dr. Albers to clear up once again some of the nonsense from the Higher Truth channel. He's not doing himself any good with his arrogance. You know, I don't know what to say, buddy. Your suntan lotion sucks. People should not be out in the sun, period. And that's that. I was also going to mention, folks, make sure if you're not subscribed to Jeff P's channel, get over there, make sure you subscribe, get the notifications set up. And when Jeff uploads a video, just take a few seconds to share it on your Facebook. You know, you never know who's going to pick up and click on it and watch his videos. The same goes with Planet X News and Dr. Albers. We appreciate it, but that's the only way we're going to spread this information and get it out there. You know, I just was urging Jeff to write a book, sit down, write a book, put all of his information into it, get it out there on Amazon. And Jeff, I honestly, buddy, I think you should start compiling your information, putting it back out there 2 or 3 times a day. You know, if you have the time, you know, you're going to have a lot of new subscribers. People need to see a lot of the information from the beginning, and let it be like your Jeff P memoirs.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, I want to mention that for all of our channels, that even if you subscribe, there is an elite group of people that unsub you. So make sure you actually resub and keep check back every couple of weeks on our channel. Make sure we actually, because sometimes you won't even get notified.
Yeah, exactly.
Believe it, it's actually happening.
Yeah, like I mentioned to everybody, you know, at least make a point sometime during the day, the evening, whatever. You know, you all got cell phones. Click on YouTube. You know, type in Jeff P in the search engine. Go back to his channel. Same thing with Dr. Albers. Same thing with Planet X News. I've had the same issues. We have to stay on top of all of their little quirky bullshit things that they do to us, and you know, we know that they do them. But a lot of great information, again, coming out. You know, ladies and gentlemen, we can be here for 10 hours, 12 hours, 24 hours. We could be here for a week on a live stream because that's how much information's out there, and that's how much we've uncovered, and there is still more to come each and every single day. You know, we see this tragic situation occurring right now in Hawaii, and it's getting worse by the hour. I think we may have a lot of additional problems that this occurrence in Hawaii is kind of the precursor for the volcanic blasts. Now, if any of you follow Terrell at Terrell Blackstar, Terrell talks a lot about that magma plume, and he shows the graphs of it. And you know, that massive magma chamber that goes all the way under the Pacific Ocean. It has connections to South America, Mexico, and the west coast of Southern California. So, you know, there's a huge possibility that this Kilauea may be a little beginning stage of what might be coming. With planetary alignments coming up in, I believe, June, July, more, yeah, with Jupiter, and that's going to last for a little while. You know, that may be enough to jiggle the Earth a little too much and put too much stress on the Earth in its fragile state as it is, and we may see cataclysms that we've never seen before. Not setting dates here, but we're just telling you what the observations are that we're seeing. They're out there, they're true. So, you know, God bless the people in Hawaii. I hope there's no type of major catastrophic blast that annihilates thousands of people. If not, you know, I don't think there's that many people on that island, but any one life lost is one too many. So let's all stay in tune with what's happening to our planet. At the same time, political unrest and the whole drama with our politics, just about every single country, they're playing that out like a soap opera. And all I have to say, folks, is, you know, start some type of preparation just for your own sake. When I mentioned yesterday about maybe starting this, thinking about it, discussing it with your family, just to be on the safe side, you know, bottled water filtration system like the Berkey water filtration system, something that's non-mechanical, you know, a source of light, a source of fire, a source of protection, and a plan. Anything can happen. Weather patterns are changing. They're getting absolutely horrendous, unpredictable. We have a lot of earthquake activity and now this volcanic activity. We're running into hurricane season for the Atlantic. That's going to be pretty wild this year, I think. And we're probably going to see something that we saw last year, but worse. So preparation is always good. You don't want to get caught in a situation that you can't get out of. Look what just happened in Turkey. You know, like 10,000 billion trillion tons of rain came down in one big bucket and flooded this one whole area. Their city streets looked like raging rapids. There was a man on the hood of a car floating down the street rapidly and almost was smashed between another truck and a car while he was in the water. There are crazy things happening worldwide that we've never seen before in abundance. We're not just making this up. It's happening. You're living it. You're watching it. You're seeing it.
Yep.
Time is now. Any last words, Dr. Albers?
Well, you know, as usual, I'd like to say that living in dangerous time, I think we should get to know our Creator. He is our Savior. He can save us from what is going on. I don't think there's anything else really that can save us like He can. He's the Creator of the universe. So I would encourage anybody to get to know him. This is a good time.
Yeah, because before too long, folks, you're going to meet him. Everybody does. Jeff, any last words, my brother?
Oh, no, just thank you for having me on there. And you know what, just say, if you guys appreciate what we do, we really need your prayers for us to keep us safe and keep us strong, because keeping a truth like this is not easy.
Yeah.
No, not and the lifestyle is not easy. And you know something, folks, I'm going to give all of you big props, big credit, because whenever we read your emails and we read your comments and we interact with you as much as possible, like I do, I try to do the best I can on Facebook, and getting to the emails is pretty intense. You know, I still get 500-600 emails a day, and it's pretty hard to answer everybody, but reading all of your information, reading your thoughts and your comments, 90% of the time it's pretty heartwarming, and I appreciate it. I know Jeff appreciates it, and some of the emails that were directed towards Dr. Albers, you know, can bring tears to your eyes. So we appreciate all of you, and you're just a big part of this also, you know.
Yes,
And
you are.
you know, it is kind of flattering in a sense that we all have so many people that like know us, that listen to us, and that are right there with us. So that is a little flattering. And I thank all of you very, very much for your support. You guys are all fantastic. And Jeff, you know, I think of you as a brother, man. You know, you've been a solid friend over the last couple of years, and somebody definitely to collaborate with and learn from. And Dr. Albers, I can't say enough.
Thanks.
Or should I call you Dr. Albers? Which
You just call me Claudia, but
Claudia.
Yeah.
He said your name was Amber.
Amber?
Yeah, Ambers.
Oh, well, I don't know. He can call me whatever he wants. He just.
He was calling you whatever he wants earlier.
He was. But the thing is, I have no quarrel with him. I don't know why he quarreled with me at all, Scott. Yeah, I think he was upset because I never talk about what he's showing. I don't think there's anything wrong with what he's showing, but why do I have to talk about his work?
He is upset because he's not selling any of that expensive suntan lotion on his little blog website thing that he's got going on there, and his little white hats. That's what he's pissed off about. But anyways, do me a favor, Dr. Albers. You have a copy of a couple of your books, your latest books right there? Hold up the covers, the latest Sun Simulator book.
Okay.
Everybody listen, if you're interested in checking out the book, it's about $20 on Amazon. Very, very good. And there's information in the book that should be and is credited to Jeff P. And Jeff, you got to write a book, buddy. You got to put your information into it and get it out there. I think the world needs to see it. And that is exactly it. The Sun Simulator, The Deception in the Sky. Dr. Albers, you want to hold up your other two books?
Okay, let's see. What do I have?
These are all available on Amazon. Simply go to Google, like I showed you. Type in Google search Dr. Claudia Albers, Amazon. The books come up. This was our full report for 2017. Some of the best photographic Planet X evidence on the face of this.
I have that one. That was the second one. And then this one.
That was a great book also.
Yeah, this is about the new theory of gravitation and light and electrogravitation, basically.
And this all has to do with Planet X.
Oh, yes. It all came out of observing the stellar cores. This is observation-based physics research.
Yeah, and, I just want to make sure that, when Dr. Albers sells one of these books, she gets her $3.25 royalty. Folks, yeah. I read somebody's bullshit comment yesterday after our live stream about writing the books. Oh, you get royalties. Listen, buddy, let me tell you something, okay? $3.25, and then the United States government takes 20% of that, okay? I mean, are you serious? You're going to begrudge somebody for making like $2?
Yeah.
How many hours, Dr. Albers, did it take you to write one of those books? Couple of days, weeks?
That's the thing, Scott. I work really hard on these books, and you know, everybody knows that everybody needs things. We human beings need food and water and shelter, and that costs money. And if God provides for us, because we need them.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Therefore we need money. So why should people be upset about people getting money for their work? They should
Listen,
not. It's just the way things need to be.
Let me just interrupt you. I'm sorry, I'm such a bully in the conversation right now, but just let me interrupt you. I'm sorry. But to the asshole that made that comment, I'm going to teach you a little bit about the alphabet right now. And the only two letters that you have to remember are F and U. Woo! That's right.
All right, I really got to go, guys. It was really nice.
Yeah, not a problem, Jeff. Hey, touch base. You have my number. Call me anytime. We'll get together here real soon.
All right, bye, everyone.
Yeah.
All right, buddy.
Okay, bye.
So listen, ladies and gentlemen, end that on a little laugh, But once again, there's a lot to think about out there. And maybe someday soon, we'll have some more of the answers. But it's tough. It's definitely a tough go. And you definitely have some people on YouTube and Facebook that are doing a very good job at uncovering and showing some of the information that's being suppressed. And once again, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining us. Dr. Albers, same thing. Jeff, thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, all I could say, be prepared, don't be scared, and stay tuned. Take care, be safe.
Bye.